Okay, everyone. Well, I've never done something like this before, so hopefully you can hear me and you can see what I'm doing and follow along. What you see right here is basically the same thing that we're going to be working off of in class. So it's going to be the demo. I'm going to show you a few things here so that if you were in class and didn't have your computer with you or you needed to go over something again, you can check this out and hopefully I will address the question that you have. Keep in mind, I'm doing this by the seat of my pants. I don't know if I'm going to remember everything I told you in class, but I'm going to go through this list again and give you an overview in case you needed a little bit of extra help when you actually are sitting in front of a computer. So let's go through this. So what is Excel? Excel is basically a spreadsheet. Okay, and you open up an Excel file, a blank sheet, and it's usually going to be called a workbook. The workbooks are made up of sheets, and you see down here it says sheet 1. You can do anything you want. You can have one sheet like I have here. If you want to add another sheet, let's say you want one sheet for your finances, another sheet for a list of Christmas gifts you're buying for people, another sheet with some bar graphs for work, you can make different sheets within one workbook. And to add a sheet, all you do is click that little button right there, and it says sheet 2. Totally separate sheet, but it's within, as you see here, it's within the same file. If you want a third sheet, add that, and you see a third sheet. You can rename them too. So if you go to sheet 1, if you just kind of click it a couple times, you see it highlights, and you can put demo, whatever. Maybe you want to rename sheet 2. You can call that finances, whatever. So just double click on the word that you want to change and change it. If you want to delete a sheet, numerous ways to do it. I'm a right click kind of person. You can always right click and hit delete. Or my guess is you can probably go up here into the edit file and click delete as well. That'll probably do it. Oh, there we go. It's right in front of my face. Delete sheet. So that's how you can get rid of the sheets if you want. So if you want to get rid of it, like I said, I like to hit right click and then delete, and that sheet will be permanently deleted, and it's gone. As far as the setup, this is Excel. What is this? I think this is Excel. Let's look. It's Excel 2011. Okay, good to know. Every version of Excel and the version for Mac versus PC look differently, but they pretty much are all set up the same way. Personally, it doesn't matter which version of Excel I'm using because I hardly ever, other than basic formatting stuff like bolding and changing colors, I rarely use these what are called ribbons. Rarely. Because I like to do most of my stuff up at the normal thing, format or file. I do most of my stuff up here like I would in a Word document. Okay? So while this may look different from the version you're using, what I'm going to show you here is basically a way that's going to work for the most part, for every version of Excel that you could possibly have. Okay, so number 3, what are cells? Cells, as you see, and I'll go to just another sheet here. For example, you're going to see that this is B4, column B, row 4. And you'll see right here, they will always tell you which cell you're in. So you can go all the way over here, and they'll tell you you're in I-19 or E21 or whatever. To write in a cell, you can do one of two things. You can either just click, say there, and type, "This is my first time using Excel." Or you can click on it, and you can go up to this right here, which is called the formula bar, and you can type in there, "I am using the formula," I cannot spell apparently, "bar," and click enter. Every time you click enter, it will go down to the next cell. So enter, 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 enter. It just moves over. Arrows go up and down, whichever way I want to go. But here's the thing. How do I type in them? We talked about that. How do we change font, bold, italic? That's pretty easy. Click on the cell that contains the wording. Now you'll notice you click, right, let's say on B4, and you're looking at B4, and you're going, I'm sure I'm looking at text here, but in the formula bar there's nothing there. That's because the actual words, the content, we started typing in A4. So even though it was bigger than that cell, it spilled over into other ones, but it's still all technically contained into A4. So if I want to do anything with this text, I have to highlight the text that I'm at, or the cell that I'm actually working on. Now, if I want to bold all this stuff, I can go up here, and if you have a home tab, maybe it's clicked on something else, the home tab, you can click bold. Maybe you want to make it italics. Maybe you want to make it underlined. Maybe you want to make it red. All that kind of stuff, the size of the font, all that stuff is basic kind of how to use Word. So that stuff is the same. You can also change font and do things here by using the trick that I use every single time I use Excel for pretty much everything. Like I said, I rarely use this junk. If I want to format what's in this cell, there is actually something called Format Cells. If I go up to Format Cells, this pops up. You can also, instead of doing Format Cells, you can also go to that cell, right click, and oh look, Format Cells is right down there. You click on that, same thing pops up. So here you can go to the Font tab and you can do essentially the same thing that we just did. You can change the color, you can make a shadow on it, you can do whatever you want. Make it italic, bold it, you can change sizes, you can do all that stuff in there as well, and it changes it there. So personally, I use this, yeah, but for everything else, I'm always doing Format Cells or right-click, Format Cells. The next thing on our list is how to merge the cells. Now this is important because, like I said, all of this content, this is my first time using Excel, is all technically in A4. If I click B4, it looks like there's stuff in there. But if I was to write in there and go, what's going on? Now all of a sudden you're going, wait, what is going on? Wait, where did all that go? Where did my first time using Excel, where did that go? It overtook what was going on here. It kind of overwrote it. So I delete that out of there and it pops back up. So sometimes if you type, or if you're typing a lot of stuff in one cell and it starts to spill over into other cells, you can do what's called merge cells. So let's say you want not just A4 to have all this data in there. You literally want A4 through, let's say, G4 or H4 to have all that stuff in one big ol' cell. So instead of one little cell spilling over into different cells, I'm going to make this whole thing one gigantic cell. What you want to do is highlight how much you want to merge. Let's just say we want to go to there. And you have one of two options, one of which is to go right here on the Home tab, which says Merge, or, shocker, Format Cells. If you go over to the Alignment tab, there is Merge Cells. Now, again, you can use this, which is fine, and if that's on your Home tab and it's sitting right there, it's easy to get to. But like I said, I'm partial to the old school way of doing things, and I just right-click, Format Cells, everything. Merge Cells. Boom. Now you might think, well, that didn't do anything. Well, yeah, it did, because now look what happens when I hit A4. Now this whole thing is highlighted. It's now one big cell. When I click here, it says I'm in A4. When I click here, look at where my cursor is. It says I'm in A4. This is all one big old cell now. It's merged. I can also center this. Well, shouldn't be a surprise. Look up to your normal formatting bar. I can center it there, and I can also center it vertically. Now you can't really tell here, but it's also centered not just left, right, but up and down. What's next? I did that. Well, what about wrapping text? Let's say that you maybe, now let me actually go back one and we'll do something in a different order here. Let's say you don't like how skinny this row is, and you go, gosh, I really wish 5 was wider. There's two ways to change how big, wide, or whatever the cell is. You can actually, literally, go to cell 5, for example, or row 5, and see how the black arrow sitting right there, if I go down to where it divides, it changes. If I go between 5 and 6, and I get that logo, if I hold and drag that down, I can make row 5 wider. So I can either do it manually, and I can go up and down, make it big, make it smaller, whatever. But the other way that I can change the width and the, either this width, or I can also change this width. What if I don't want A to be that? I can just go in between. So see how it's a little black down arrow, little black down arrow, go right in between there, hold and drag. I can make that bigger too. Okay. But sometimes you want exact width. So not just randomly making it bigger or smaller. You want to actually make it some certain specified thing. So on your project that you're going to do, it's going to say set the column width to 4 or whatever it is. If you want to make a column or a row or a column a specific width or length, let's say I want to make 5 a specific width. Put the cursor in the middle of that row and then right click. If your cursor is right in the middle of that row, one of the options that will pop up is row height. And if I want, let's say the row height, I specify in a activity or something, I want row height to be 2. I type in 2, and it makes it exactly 2. And the same thing for the column width. If I want to make the column bigger or smaller, I can go right, put my cursor right in the middle, okay, get it right there, right click, and you'll see if you do it right, column width shows up. Well, let's say I want to make it smaller. Let's say I specify in an assignment I want the column width for A to be 0.8. That's how you change the column width or the row width by actual specified dimensions. If you want it random, just whatever, you can go in between and stretch them bigger or smaller. So I kind of went off kilter there. I did a little bit out of whack. But let's go back to how to wrap text. You'll notice here also you're going, gosh, I am using the formula bar in A5, but it's spilling over into B5. Maybe I don't want it to spill over into B5. Maybe I don't even want to do the thing where I make these 3 cells one big cell like I did here. Maybe I don't want to do that. Well, I can do what's called wrap text. Maybe the instruction says you want I am using the formula bar to all fit within that cell. Well, go to the cell, and you can either do this, which is right above merge. Merge and wrap text usually go together. Or, if you don't want to use that, you can do, drum roll please, right click, format cells. And right where merge cells was before, there's also another one that says wrap text. Again, under the alignment tab. Anything you want to do, you can do from format cells, basically is what I'm telling you. Okay. And you'll see that it wraps the text. So now I am using the formula bar is all within that little shrunken A5 cell. If I make A bigger, it still wraps it. If I make A ridiculously skinny, it still wraps it. It looks stupid, but it wraps it. Maybe I want that to be in the middle of this. I can do my vertical centering up here in the alignment. Okay. So that's how you wrap the text. So most things so far, font, bold, underline, merging cells, wrapping text, changing the column and row, can all be done with right click. Right click can change the column, row, and width if you're hanging on one of the widths or the columns. The wrap text, merge cells, and all the font, that can be simply found by doing right click, format cells. Trust me with the format cells thing. If we're all staring at different versions of Excel, different PC versus Mac versions, they're all going to look different and everyone's going to pull their hair out. Just click on the cell you want to do something with, right click and format cells, and everyone's Excel will actually be the same. All right, well, let's see. What's next? How to change row and how to format cells. Okay, into currency. Another thing you can do is you can format